Hello, and welcome to Developmental Talent. Your ears are about to be crammed full of the most action-packed wrestling podcast on the entire fucking planet. And it's exclusively on freaksugar.com. Now, here's your host, hailing from parts unknown, Lemon Juice McGee.
Welcome back to Developmental Talent, the Freak Sugar exclusive professional wrestling podcast. I'm your host, Lemon Juice McGee, and with me tonight is the fighting man, Matt Pierce.
What's up, guys?
Our resident wrestling historian, Hoagie Masters.
Always glad to be on the show.
And our rumor guy, Justin Durbin.
I need a little caffeine.
Indeed, we all need a little caffeine. This weekend was packed with wrestling, as Saturday night we attended the Ring of Honor TV tapings in Nashville, Tennessee. So now we have witnessed the next 4 weeks of ROH TV. Then today, on Sunday, we watched Global Force Wrestling's import of New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom 9. 4 hours each night, both pretty fantastic. As far as Ring of Honor goes, we managed to score a couple of exclusive interviews that we'll be bringing over the next couple of weeks. You'll be able to see the videos on Freak Sugar's YouTube page, our Facebook page, and our Twitter feed. However, for those who don't have time or, just don't feel like it, we've got the audio here. So we're going to kick things off with an exclusive interview with one of Ring of Honor's top prospects for 2015, the House of Truth's Jay Diesel.
And now it's time for a Developmental Talent exclusive interview.
Hey, Lemon Juice McGee here with Developmental Talent. With me here is Jay Diesel, who's with the House of Truth, one of Ring of Honor's top prospects of 2015. So what's it like have been training in the Ring of Honor dojo?
It's probably the best facility in the world. Technically, performance-wise, I would have to say bar none. Best facility in the world. To be trained by Delirious himself, he definitely puts a lot into his students. His heart and soul.
That's great. And you managed to work your way into the House of Truth pretty quick, which is a big thing. What's that like working with Truth?
Well, that's the lifestyle. It's all about hoopla. It's about, making that money. And when it comes to the House of Truth, there is no bigger element in the Ring of Honor than the House of Truth. You got Jay Lethal, you have the trainer of champions, Truth Martini, and where he goes, gold will be.
Fantastic. One thing I was wondering, whenever you come through that curtain, what kind of feelings do you get when you come out and hear that crowd?
And when I hear the crowd, it's definitely gets into you, but it's more about the mission at hand, whether it's something that Truth needs me to do or it's an opponent that I must walk through. That's what takes me to that level. The fans are great and all, but at the end of the day, it's what Truth wants. And what Truth wants, Truth will get.
Well, thanks. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks.
I see big things out of you, man.
Thanks.
The Figure 5.
It's time again for the Figure 5, our weekly top 5 list. Sometimes serious, sometimes, really not serious at all. But they all relate to professional wrestling. What kind of list do we have tonight, Matt?
Tonight is the top 5 female wrestlers, female performers in the business.
Top 5 female wrestlers. Sounds like a good list. Let's kick things off.
All right, we'll start off with number 5. I have Chyna. She was 2-time Intercontinental Champion and basically made it to where, at least in WWE, the women didn't have to be stuck in the Divas division. Or there wasn't one Divas division at the time, it was the women's division, but it made it more than just, here's a popcorn match. It mattered.
Yeah, I feel like they used her as almost as it was a gimmick, but at the same time, she was still kicking Chris Jericho's ass and Jeff Jarrett's ass.
And Eddie Guerrero's ass.
Yeah, full-on matches, yeah.
She owned it, so.
Yeah, she also was the first woman to ever enter the Royal Rumble.
It's true.
She, I believe, was coming number 30 in the 99 Rumble.
Yep. She didn't contribute a lot. Her career wasn't as long as a natural wrestler. It was more she was a manager a lot of the time.
Yes, her wrestling career faded.
Yeah, she was in Degeneration X a lot, and she wasn't really a manager. She's sort of like a valet type.
Mm-hmm. So she's like their bodyguard. Yeah. Because that was the deal. He was the bodyguard for Shawn Michaels.
And Triple H,
Yeah.
So that's why she's not higher in the list, even though she's sort of historic.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go on to number 4. A lot of people's mind, the face of the WWE's women division, Trish Stratus.
Oh, I'm surprised she's not higher on the list.
Well,
I mean, just simply because of
yeah.
Her name comes up a lot, but
she's probably the best in the WWE, but the WWE isn't necessarily the best there is out there.
We all know that to be true.
Yeah, so let's go. That's why she's not higher on the list. But for a lot of people, she's the face of women's wrestling, and deservedly so. She was a lot like a John Cena, like a proto John Cena sort of. She's the same sort of character, and that she didn't really have a gimmick so much as she just was what she was, And people got behind her. She held a belt for a long time, had really good feuds with a lot of people, and she had great WrestleMania matches. Her and Mickie James, really good matches, and brought a lot of respectability too. And she wasn't like some goofy like dancer or anything. She went out there and she fought. So she brought a lot of legitimacy to the title. Next up, we have not WWE. Well, she was in there for a while. Awesome Kong, who completely dominated the TNA Knockouts division. Just unbeaten for a long time. And she didn't fit the stereotypical diva body type. She was a bigger lady, but she got there and she busted ass.
Yeah, well, she's lost quite a bit of weight and getting in pretty good shape now. I'm hoping WWE eventually bring her back because she's an amazing talent.
Yeah, she could have been a lot. They could have built around her, and it just didn't work out, unfortunately. But she was. It didn't even matter if she was a woman. She was just this obstacle in the way of the entire division. So, next up at number 2, we have Candice LeRae, who is currently in a tag team. She is the world's cutest tag team, and she's the PWG Tag Team Champion, not Women's Champion. Champion with Joey Ryan.
Yep, Joey Ryan. One of my favorites.
And they're like the tag team in that company. So,
she's legitimately fighting men. Just she's on a tag team. It has nothing to do with her sex at all. It's just she's a good wrestler.
Yeah, she's a good wrestler, and he is too. And they got belts for it. Before we get number 1, we have some honorable mentions. We got Gail Kim, who exploded onto the scene of WWE, won a belt in her first night. She didn't do as much there as she could have. There was a lot of other talent there. Then she went to TNA, and I think she's sort of the face of Impact Wrestling's knockout division now, more or less. It's not as big as it used to be. The division isn't.
Yeah, they've cut it down a lot.
Yeah.
Technically now they're at that hiatus level where there's no shows.
Right.
But before they cut off, it was very much pushed to the back burner.
I think it was just her and Havoc.
Yeah.
Who Havoc's also a phenomenal talent. But Gail Kim's one of the better wrestlers in the world, regardless of male, female. But she doesn't have the depth of opponents right now, is why she's our number 1. So she's probably between the two companies. She's probably the better champion, better wrestler. Just she's just not got the depth and field of opponents right now. We also have Mae Young and the Fabulous Moolah, who their careers as wrestlers are good careers, but their careers as on-air personalities. Mae Young was on TV until not very long before she passed.
Yeah.
She was in her 90s.
Yeah. And Mae Young, she did her job very well.
Yeah.
She wasn't afraid to take a bump.
No, she wasn't.
Take a bump, give birth to a hand, take her shirt off. She didn't care.
Whatever she needed to do.
She didn't care at all.
And Moolah had the great WrestleMania matches. I mean, it's history there. And then also Hamada, a lesser known talent. She's a great wrestler. She's not on the list as a main number just because the fact that she's sort of not had it. She was on TNA for a while. Mm-hmm. She's not really had a chance to break out there and show what she can do on a national or world stage, really. I mean, she kind of has, but hasn't. A lot of people don't know her, but she's really great. Really, really great. And then we have the number one, in my opinion, top woman performer today, or female performer today. Mm-hmm. And it's cheerleader Melissa. To me, she's the face of women's wrestling. She's she's had the most rings with the Shimmer World title. It's 2. But, you know, she's had one. It's like the Ring of Honor title, sort of, where you don't get it a lot of times. You get it for a long time. She was in TNA as Alyssa Flash. She wrestled in WWE on like Velocity and that sort of thing. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so she's been in most of the big companies. She was also with Awesome Kong as Raisha Saeed, I think is what the name was.
Oh, yeah, I remember her name.
Yep. And, you know, she's just been all over the place. She's got the look. She's got the charisma. I'll enjoy her matches. She's called Cheerleader Melissa. And she comes out and she's got like a cheerleader outfit on. But she beats the hell out of people. Like, it's not like rah cheerleader. It's like, it's like almost like an oxymoron type thing where she comes out and presents this image of a cheerleader and then she just destroys you. So, I don't know. She's had some great matches with people, a great performer, and just to me, when I think of women's wrestling, it's cheerleader Melissa. So, going back over the list, we got China. Number 5. Number 4 is Trish Stratus. Number 3 is Awesome Kong. Number 2 is Candice LeRae. And number 1 is Cheerleader Melissa. And that's the list.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid figure 5 this week. For you people listening for the first time, I'm sure there's a number of you. Normally they don't go this smooth. Usually we're arguing and there's some screaming involved. Way more cursing. I say fuck a lot normally during these. But yeah, that went pretty smooth. Good list.
Yeah. The only person that I might would have added was Stephanie. She didn't really wrestle though. She was more of an honorable mention. She was more of like a man holding a belt. Yeah. So that's why, if people are wondering, that's why she's not on there. So
there's one other name I'd like to throw out, Medusa.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when they restarted the women's division in early 90s WWF, she was the main person.
Yeah, Alundra Blaze, right?
That they had for her, and then went to WCW throwing the belt in the trash. Yeah. Which is one of the most controversial moments in the Monday Night War.
And really a pretty brave thing she done, because it burned a bridge bad.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's like the one person that they won't bring back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, she's pretty influential as far as the beginning of all that. That was before Divas and before the women's division was very big. Yeah. And she helped push it in both of the biggest companies on television.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just face of both. That is a good one. Well, there you go. Obviously, there's a problem. Now it's starting to be a figure 5. I think it's a good list. Mm-hmm. I think probably within the next couple of years, Charlotte Flair should be on that list.
Oh, yeah. A lot of NXT divas. That's what the WWE calls them. The TNA would have had a lot more on the list, too, if they kept their division up. But they shifted focus from it, and it just, it's one of those things that happens, I guess. I guess they had reason for it, but it was a really good part of their knockout division for a long time was a lot better than the Divas division. Especially after Trish and Lita left WWE. I mean, we got AJ now, AJ and Paige, but they won't let them wrestle. And, they care more about their reality show. So
they keep those storylines going really for the E stuff. Yeah, really, if you're looking for WWE female wrestling, you're gonna want to watch NXT for those matches.
Yeah, but really, if you're looking for female wrestling, it's better not to look to WWE.
Yeah.
The Indies is where it's a Shimmer and PWG, FIP does some FIP. Veda Scott's wrestled at FIP. Really good matches there. Just get out there and find it. I mean, it's not just models who are limp-wristed slapping each other. That's not what women wrestling is. It's the actual legitimate women wrestlers. And you should go out there and check them out.
All right. Well, that's it for this week's Figure 5.
This week in wrestling history.
Once again, it's time to take a look back into the past of wrestling history. With us tonight is Hoagie Masters, who's going to teach us a lesson.
Okay, folks, which we just finished watching the New Japan pay-per-view. We got a little bit ago, so let's start off with something with that. One of the greatest names in Japanese wrestling is the Great Muta.
Mm-hmm.
This week in 1993, he defeated Masahiro Chono to win his first NWA title.
Oh, wow. It's pretty big.
Yeah.
Both those names are huge.
Yeah, in Japan, Muta's popular all out the world.
Yeah.
United States, Mexico, you name it. And
Well, Chono was NWO.
yeah.
Yeah.
He was in WCW for a little bit. Stuff there. And,
Big names, Muta and
Yeah, for the NWA, an American title.
yeah.
2 Japanese wrestlers.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which Chono defeated Rick Rude for it.
Oh, is it the international title or
Well,
that same title?
Same title, yeah. Moving on, 2 guys I think would have done extremely well in Japan. Taz and Shane Douglas. Let's talk about them. Taz won his first ECW World title this week. Defeated Shane Douglas. It was January 10th, 1999.
Taz was a machine.
Yeah.
Taz was what Goldberg should have been.
Yeah. Which Taz, before this, had the FTW title. And then he won the TV title for a little bit. And then he went after the world belt.
Yeah. Then he gave the FTW title to Sabu, right?
Yeah. I think Sabu beat him for it.
And because it was made just for Taz, it had Taz's name on it. Sabu just put tape over it and wrote Sabu.
Yeah, and they actually, a month or 2 later after this, they had a unification match. They unified the FCW title and the ECW title.
Now, when Taz won this from Shane Douglas, isn't that when Taz was doing the 3-minute thing? Like, I can beat you in 3 minutes? Or was that a different time?
I can't remember right off.
Okay.
I mean,
I remember this match. I remember, like all ECW matches practically. I remember them going out in the crowd and fighting through the chairs
The Taz was just, I don't know. I kind of wish Taz had never left, but he left so close to it anyway. I don't think it really mattered. So,
well, when he left, I mean, he left strong for WWE, and they put him up strong at first.
Yep.
And then he won the belt back with the whole Mike Awesome thing, and then they let him defend it on WWE TV, and then he went back and lost to Tommy Dreamer, and it was a whole big thing. It was awesome. But as far as this goes with Shane Douglas and Taz, I mean, Shane Douglas, for whatever people talk shit about the guy, I mean, he put on good matches.
Oh yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And him and Taz put on some very physical, brutal matches, and they weren't just like, you know, barbed wire and blood and all this stuff that people picture when they picture ECW. They were violent in as they went outside the ring, but it was just more for the brutality and the physicality of the matches.
Yeah. That's the thing about Taz. He wasn't really hardcore as in like, well, in WWE he kind of was, but in ECW he was more hardcore as in his intensity.
Yeah,
like he was just the human suplex machine. He never really left his feet. Bam Bam did a couple times, but he just come in and destroy people.
Yeah, I mean, they had all them different suplexes. Like, all his suplexes, Joey Styles called them a Tazplex. They called them suplex. They called it was Tazplex.
Well, when you suplex somebody, we'll call it a hoagieplex.
That's right. All right, moving on. We got 2 big title wins in WWE happened this week.
Mm-hmm.
First off was with Edge. He won his first WWE title this week. And this was also the first time the Money in the Bank contract was cashed in.
Yeah.
So he cashed it in?
Cashed it in successfully. Yeah.
Didn't he cash it in like 8,000 times? Like, Edge was always
it seemed like that, but it was twice.
Yeah.
I mean, you were close. The 8,000 was a close number. You were only off by a few thousand.
Yeah.
It was 2. It was 2 times.
Which he had wrestled earlier that night against Ric Flair for the Intercontinental title and did not win. And then at the end of the match, the main event of the pay-per-view was New Year's Revolution. And it was an Elimination Chamber. Mm-hmm. John Cena retaining his title and winning. Bloody face and everything. Vince McMahon comes out and he was like, "Nobody go anywhere. The night is not over. Raise the cage." And I'm like, okay, what's going on? He's like, "Raise the cage," I said.
shaking his fist in the air.
Yeah. And he
Raise the cage!
Or you're fired.
And he was like, I'd like to congratulate John Cena on his victory tonight. The reason the night is not over is this individual is cashing in his Money in the Bank privilege that he won at WrestleMania. And out comes Edge. I'm like, holy shit. He cashed it in, spears Cena, and wins.
Well, I mean, it really does seem like that he always had a Money in the Bank or something, because Edge would like weasel his way into winning belts that he had no business. Like Edge is like, oh, I'm out with an injury. Nope, I won the world title.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that's one thing too, is like Vince McMahon came out and announced it and all that, and there was like a sense of I don't know, grandeur for the fact that it was happening.
Yeah.
And now it's just like Seth Rollins will run down every week and they're, oh, he's cashing in, and then it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just, it's nothing to it now. It can, anytime they just tease it all the time now.
yeah.
And then it was more of an official,
Yeah.
like, this is the time it
Yeah,
happens. This is the only time it happens,
It was
Yeah.
a big surprise with it. Which, speaking of big surprises, the next night, one of the most controversial moments ever in Raw happened, which with Edge winning the world title, he thought he could do whatever he wanted. Mm-hmm. So this led into the live sex celebration.
Oh, yes.
Him and Lita.
Who can forget that gem of television quality?
Yeah.
Hey.
That was, they're still talking about that occasionally.
He mentioned it. They mentioned it Monday night.
Yeah, he mentioned it Monday.
Yeah. Then the following night, another big thing happened. They had a Battle Royal, which this was a SmackDown taping. Mm-hmm. They had Batista had to forfeit the world title due to injury caused by Mark Henry. So they had a Battle Royal for it, and Kurt Angle was on Raw at the time. Teddy Long invited him to come to SmackDown.
This was during the brand split.
Yeah. To be part of this Battle Royal, and he ended up winning it, and to win the World Heavyweight title.
So they had a Raw superstar won the World Heavyweight title.
Yeah.
The current SmackDown title.
Yeah.
Well, that also happened with Edge one time. When Edge won it and got
true.
drafted, but then Batista came out and bombed him and won it.
And which him winning this, the following week on Raw, they still had Edge on Raw that following week just to kind of write him off and everything. Not Edge, but Kurt Angle, my bad. And him and Edge are both in the ring with the belts. Angle was like, you know what? Let's unify these belts right now. And I get why they didn't, but I think it'd been kind of awesome if they did.
Well, they did, and that's what you have now.
Well, I'm just saying.
Hey, you got it. Your wish. Years
Yeah.
later, you got it. How do you like it now?
Not much now.
Do you
but
enjoy
back
it
then
not
would've
being
been
on
pretty
television?
cool.
When they had the Undisputed belt, it was Brock Lesnar, and he would just go from show to show.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the way it should have been. That's what it should still be.
Well, now he does it, and he doesn't go to any
He
shows.
doesn't go,
It's because, hey, if they have Raw Montana,
Yeah.
he'd be on every show.
yeah. But yeah, that's about it this week in wrestling history.
Time for the post-per-view.
This weekend saw the very first Global Force Wrestling production. Sort of. Rather than it being a unique unto itself production, Global Force Wrestling imported over New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom 9 from the Tokyo Dome. They hired Jim Ross and Matt Stryker to be the commentary team over top of the show. And it was 4 hours of just badass shit.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was great. Really, my only, and not really a nitpick, but something I noticed is that the Jim Ross commentary didn't have me quite as hooked as I was hyped for, if that makes sense.
I think he was out of his element, seriously. Like, he did not seem to follow. See, Japan's different. The crowd reacts differently. The wrestlers are a little different. And he's more, I guess, he's more used to WWE style. Mm-hmm. That's what he's done for 30 years. Stryker was actually the stronger one on commentary. And Ross, at times, I don't want to say he hurt it, but he definitely didn't help a lot of time. Because he'd done constant references to WWE, wanted some of the guys to be in the Royal Rumble, that sort of thing. So
yeah, there's a lot of Attitude Era references, but I mean, I guess he was calling back to what he. I mean, of course, he commentated past the Attitude Era, but I mean, that was the highlight. So a lot of the references were to that, as in that was like the golden age of I guess the announcing time he was in.
Yeah. But yeah, he seemed to.
I mean, JR just seemed to have, from my perspective, problem with the pacing. The fact that there's a lot more chain wrestling and a lot more move into move into move instead of a setup series of A to B to C as you see in the WWE, that it's almost a predictable pattern. Instead, this way, I think we even said it 2 or 3 times in the night, we didn't know which way the matches were going to go at times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's completely unpredictable. Especially, I mean, for the most part, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of guys that we have watched, but there are a few that were new to us. And, I mean, yeah, you didn't know what they were capable of, what their finishers were, how it played out. And it was very much fast-paced. I think Matt Stryker, I commend him on doing a tremendous job. Mm-hmm. I think it's helped that he's been on Lucha Underground, because this is sort of the same type of wrestling as far as lots and lots of moves.
Yeah. I think also JR was at times trying to tell stories that weren't there. Mm-hmm. Just because that's how he works. He works off a story. And I especially seemed like in the main event, he was trying to craft stories that maybe weren't really there. You know, like, we'll get to that match, but it just seemed to me like he was trying really hard to reach for something there.
Yeah. The setup of the arena was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, the entrance was fantastic. The layout of the whole thing with the ramp and the ring with the setup. The crowd there was huge. It was mostly blacked out, so I mean, you couldn't see the full volume. It wasn't like WrestleMania where they keep it lit and highlight the fact that there's so many people there. They kept it about the wrestling. So really the only thing highlighted was the ring and the entrance ramp. And
that at the time we questioned why they did it, but that might be why. Like, if you watch the show, there's about a good 30 feet between the first row and the ring.
Yeah, and there are barricades around the ring, like you see at any other like Ring of Honor, WWE show. They have the mats and they have the first barricades, but there's no one against those barricades. Those barricades are holding no one back.
Right, and then I mentioned in the show how the ring looked huge, and that might be why. It might be that they gave it distance, and that made everything look more epic, because the entrance ramp looked like it was a mile long, you know. So it was lit up. We said a few times, like. Sort of like a video game, but not in a bad way. In a, hey, this is something we've never seen before way, you know?
Yeah. It's like everyone's entrance videos and stuff. It's like they were all Street Fighter characters.
Yeah.
And that was cool as shit.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
And, I mean, as far as like the non-knowledge of the previous Wrestle Kingdoms, like it immediately makes me want to go watch those. It actually makes, we talked about this too, it kind of makes us want to go back and watch Wrestle Kingdom 9 with the original Japanese commentary.
Yeah.
Just for the effect of hearing how excited, even without understanding the language, hearing the excitement of the announce team calling the match may put a whole different spin on it, simply because we could have followed the wrestling with the sound completely off. Mm-hmm. I mean, there were fantastic matches and they were well-paced. There were some problems, I thought, with some of the camera shots. It seemed like they had multiple camera angles, and some of them they were picking the wrong one to focus on during some moves. You were kind of missing a little bit of the action. It wasn't overly prominent, but there were a couple times where, you know, a couple big moves were missed.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder, maybe that some of those producers or editors might have been GFW guys, and it might have been not the first time they've done it. So maybe that's why it was a little, like, it wasn't bad. It was never bad. But
yeah, possibly. I don't know if GFW actually had a hand in any of of that, because towards the end, JR read off the copyright,
and he just missed the broadcast.
Yeah, so and it didn't come up on the screen, so it makes me think that the visual wise they had no control over it. It was more of just a straight piping in with their commentary. But I gotta hand it to Jeff Jarrett. Bravo, man, on bringing this to the States.
It was a coup. Now, if you do watch it, and you've never experienced Japanese wrestling before, one of the big things you notice is the fans, they'll cheer, but they're quiet. They don't chant. really. I mean, every once in a while they'll say they'll do some things. But
It's more of entrance and post-match, really.
Yeah, so there's no, like, yes chants or anything like that. It's just they sit there and they watch the wrestling, and the matches they seem like they're pretty brutal. In a lot of cases they are. And the matches are the centerpiece. You know, that's what it is.
Speaking of matches being the centerpiece, let's get into those matches. Tell us what was first up, Ogie.
Okay, for first up was the IWGP Junior Tag Title match, which, in case you're wondering what the IWGP means, it means for International Wrestling Grand Prix, is what the initials mean. Red Dragon defeated the Forever Hooligans, the Time Splitters, and the Young Bucks.
Yeah. Red Dragon holding those titles and the Ring of Honor tag titles.
Yes.
Which they wore out.
They wore out.
They
Yes.
wear the ring.
Yes, they wore the Ring of Honor belts.
Yeah.
That's a great match.
It was. And I mean, they kicked off the whole event with this match. This match could have just as easily closed out the show. Like, it was fantastic.
Well, Young Bucks and Red Dragon has closeout shows. I mean, so yeah, it's and then you got in Time Splitters, and then you got in Forever Hooligans. It's just a great match.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and Rocky Romero is a clothesline machine.
yes.
That fucker was running corner to corner,
Yeah.
just laying out clotheslines.
And then he'd stop and go to a different corner. It was ridiculous. It was,
Yeah.
We had clothesline parties and super kick parties.
Yeah.
yeah. And we had finishers.
They had the dual devastation device clothesline
Yeah.
deal they had going down.
Young Bucks hit Indie Taker,
Yeah.
which is a really cool move. I didn't know it was called that. Matt Striker called it Indie Taker, and it's like a springboard tombstone. Well, both of them. It's awesome.
Yeah, they're doing the tombstone, and then the one comes off the outside rope and spikes the guy into the mat harder. Yeah, it was super fast. It was fantastic.
One of my favorite things about the match was the fact of just how many surprise or dark tags there were between different members, so you never knew when the next tag was coming.
Yeah, and Matt Striker made a point, because in the beginning, Red Dragon were in the ring, there was no tag, and the ref just let it go. And what was insinuated was the wrestling takes precedence.
Yeah,
if a rule gets broken, they'll let it slide.
Which that's another example of JR maybe losing the pace a little bit, because he said, well, they didn't tag. And Striker's like, they don't. It's okay.
Yeah, they've already done 10 moves ahead of this.
The Time Splitters tagged, done like a chop, tagged, chopped, tagged, chopped, like 4 times in a row. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, that whole match was it was a great kickoff. It instantly made us excited for the rest of the pay-per-view. And,
Yep.
And second match, we had a 6-man tag featuring some of the Bullet Club members of Bad Luck Fale, Jeff Jarrett, and Takahashi. They lost the match actually to Hiroshi Tenzin, and Kojima, and I can rest that for me.
Tamaki Humuko. Huma. I apologize if I.
Yeah, these names are a little hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had like 0 sleep this weekend.
Yeah, and they're also guys that we're unfortunately not as familiar with as the previous match.
The way we took it from the visuals is it seemed very much like a group of New Japan legends taking on the insurgent Bullet Club.
Yeah. Now Tenzan, he was in WCW. He fought they even referenced it. Fought Macho Man at Starrcade. He's been around for a while. He has a very unique look. He's got like a sort of a wide mohawk, and it's like blonde on the sides of it. So, but
that match was really good. Of course, Jarrett got in there, and when he came out, there was the full Global Force Wrestling logo on the stage.
And he did use the TNA music he had, the My War music. That was that music.
And
he had Karen Jarrett with him, and then he pretty good match back and forth. And then what happened is Jarrett went to hit the guitar,
Yeah.
Went to hit El Kabong.
And he ended up hitting Takahashi.
Yeah.
Who, I thought it was cool that he's apparently like turned his back on the Japanese fans and has joined the Bullet Club, and they hate him for it.
Yeah.
So the Bullet Club's made up of mostly American wrestlers.
Mostly American wrestlers who are bringing the sports entertainment thing over. Yeah. And that striker pointed that out immediately, that the Japanese wrestling fans care about wrestling. They don't really care about sports entertainment. Mm-hmm. And that's another JR. He didn't get it. Like, he kept on saying, "Oh, I'm sure they love sports entertainment over here," and they don't. The Bullet Club are the bad guys. Yeah. So, and then again, I won't try the Tomoaki. I think hit the headbutt, which Matt Stryker told us had a 0% chance of ever hitting.
Yeah. Earlier in the match, he just basically ran and fell face first.
Yeah,
missing it. This one came off the top rope,
and he hit it.
Yeah, he hit it.
I don't know if he's more of like a light-hearted comedic type guy. He kind of seemed that way a little bit.
Like a Santino Marella.
Like a Santino type guy, yeah. I mean, I don't want to disrespect him and say that. He kind of presented that way from what sort of way Stryker said things. Those two guys definitely weren't. And it was basically Team New Japan versus Team Bullet Club, and New Japan pulled it out.
Yeah, that was like the feel-good, probably the feel-good match of the night, I would assume, for people who are like long-time fans. Like, that's the one they want to see.
Yeah, or like the if you're at WrestleMania, it's like the gimmick battle royal. But the thing is, it's probably the least strong match on the card, and it's still
fun to watch.
Yeah. Great match.
Great match. Yeah, because I mean, like the Bullet Club are like their NWO, so it's very much like an invasion, like Team New Japan versus So yeah,
and I will say Jarrett looks in great shape. Jarrett's in awesome shape. So I mean, if he wrestles in Global Force, I don't know if he will, but if he does, it won't look like it's been forced. It'll look like he belongs out there.
Yeah. Moving on from a 6-man tag to an 8-man tag.
There was a lot of tags. People.
Yeah. The team of Mikey Nickel, Marufuji, Shane Hayes, and Toru Yano defeated the team of Davey Boy Smith Jr., which some people may know as D.H. Smith from WWE, Lance Archer, Shelton Benjamin, and Takahashi Likuka.
Lukuka. Yep, Lukuka.
Yeah, we are butchering these names, people.
Yeah, and again, we apologize.
That's just that's on us. That's on us.
It's our bad. But this is a pretty fun match. I mean, Shelton Benjamin, I didn't even know was working with New Japan. I thought he was still doing, like Ring of Honor, World's Greatest Tag Team type stuff. And I was really surprised, and it was a good surprise to see him. I mean, I like Shelton Benjamin. Lance Archer, it's the first time I've seen him since he was in WWE for just a second, I think, wasn't he? Well, TNA. He definitely was in TNA.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, big guy. Mm-hmm. But and then Harry Smith, he was. I guess he's the power wrestler of that team. Even though Lance Archer's bigger, I think Harry Smith seemed to be like the more power guy because he's hitting power bombs and things like that. And Archer was more.
Well, Archer did do that choke slam.
That's true. Yeah.
It was like a devastating choke slam.
Yeah. And he even mentioned that Stryker said that a choke slam's when you're 6'8", which Archer is, it's all that more. Yeah. So.
Next match. This match had an interesting set of rules with it. It's more like an MMA fight. The only way you could win the match was either by submission, knockout, or referee stoppage. And it was against Sakuraba versus Suzuki, which Suzuki ended up winning with, I believe he had a choke?
Uh-huh.
And the referee stopped the match.
Rear naked choke.
Yeah. Sakuraba, though, they had mentioned he's a Gracie hunter. Like, he's the guy that would go and just beat Gracies.
Yeah, I mean, it was an odd. I never seen anything like it.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. I mean, they mentioned on there too. There's a lot of people who I had never seen anything like that, and I had not.
Yeah,
I mean, it was obviously there were spots where you knew it wasn't just a legit fight.
Mm-hmm.
But the chain wrestling and the slaps and the kicks implemented were, I mean, it appeared to be full force, whether it was or not. Like it.
I mean, it was a wonderful fusion between an actual fight and sports entertainment. Something where it sort of combined both, and that a lot of that is really on the talent to be able to display both, and they both did a phenomenal job in doing that.
Yeah, and they kind of built it as like a last dance for both of them, sort of, because they were both at the end of their career, really, and it was sort of like just go out there and just have one more go.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, there were no closed fists. It was all open hand.
Yeah, palm strikes and things.
God,
and
man. Kicks and slaps to the face and arm bars.
Oh my gosh.
Getting dropped on the ramp. Drop kicks. It was. That's the thing. It is a testament to their skill that we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah. This is a match that Stryker pretty much carried. Jim Ross, every once in a while, would say, like, he basically would keep on saying he's never seen anything like it. He just didn't know what to do with it. But Stryker was...
Yeah, and that's the thing. Jim Ross has called MMA before.
Yeah.
There was a very beautiful armbar on the ropes in this match.
Oh, yeah.
But
sadly had to be broken up at the 5.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like they said that the only rules were knockout, submission, ref stoppage, and then they kept on adding rules.
Yeah. There were a few more rules than they intended.
Like, there was an armbar on the ramp, and the guy was tapping out. They're like, "Oh, you can't win on the ramp. You have to win in the ring."
I think they were trying to do a count out too on one of the guys.
Yeah, which is like in Ring of Honor is a 20 count. It's not a 10 count.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty much an amazing match. Like it was.
Yeah, but it was like
beyond.
It wasn't even like Big Show versus Akabono or anything. It was his own match, and it wasn't like anything else on the card. And it was good. It's the diversity of wrestling's out there, I guess.
Yeah.
Next up, we have another title match. This was for the never open weight title. Toji Makabe ended up winning against Tomohiro Izuis. That's how you pronounce it?
Issues, I think. I'm not. I'm not sure. I apologize.
Yeah.
For those wondering what the never stands for, let them know, Hoagie.
It stands for actually New Blood, Evolution,
Vitality.
Valiantly.
Oh, yeah.
Eternal, and Radical. What this belt was, it was supposed to originally be a title set up for up and coming wrestlers to go after, and it was supposed to be defended. The names I listed off are actually names of events, and the belt was only supposed to be defended at those events. They decided not to go that route and have it defended whenever.
Yeah, so now the never basically just is a thing. Like MTV is just MTV.
Yeah.
And it's a no weight class belt.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyone can go for this title.
Which in there it kind of matters because you have the junior division, junior tag belts, and junior world title, and then the heavyweight.
Which actually makes it all more ballsy to go for because if you take it for somebody, the guy that might face you next could be a monster.
Yeah.
That was a brutal match.
It was.
There were like chops to the neck.
There were a lot of throat chops.
The champion, the guy that Makabe that defeated, they had mentioned he actually needed surgery on his shoulder. His shoulder would need reconstructive surgery, and instead he was just bandaged up, and he just didn't get it.
Yeah, he just kept going. They said the event before that it was basically just hanging limp.
Yeah.
For the match when after he got injured.
Yeah.
Which just shows. I mean, as you could see from the previous match, like these guys, they obviously have a lot of heart and a lot of respect for their business, and they want to please the fans and be the best they can be, and they take it very seriously.
Yeah, they did. There was first time you really noticed it. Red Dragon has them too, but first guys I really noticed wearing mouthpieces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then from then on, I noticed I mean, there were probably others that I just didn't notice as much,
Yeah.
but it seemed like almost everyone was wearing mouthpieces.
Yeah. And they needed it.
Yeah, for the stiff kicks they were taking.
Kicks,
Yeah,
punches, and everything.
Chops. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was pretty brutal. These two guys, though, I mean, I know it's open weight. These two guys were pretty well matched. I mean, one of them was a little shorter, one was a little taller, but the taller one was more lanky, and the shorter one was more built. So it wound up being okay.
Yeah, Maccabi was a little taller. But yeah, it was back and forth, pretty even, like the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. And again, it was one of those unpredictable matches where it seemed like the pacing of the match seemed like the match was winding down, but not about to end, and then the match ended. So it was,
Yeah, which actually a number of these went. Like the first match that Red Dragon retained, they ended up winning with Chasing the Dragon, but like when they hit it, like it had been broke up before, and there were still teams everywhere. Like, and then it's just bam, 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 over, and it's almost surprising that it ended as quick as it did. That's how a lot of these matches went.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah. Next up, another title match. We have for the IWGP Junior title. It was Raizuke Taguchi versus Kenny Omega. Which Kenny Omega is part of Bullet Club.
Kenny Omega has hair like a mop.
He does.
It's like gray with like black under.
He's like a shaggy dog.
Yeah.
Imagine Adam Sandler's wedding singer if he would have aged at this point in life.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Which isn't to say that he's
But
not.
just his hair, because Kenny Omega was fit, and
Yeah, he was.
but his hair, it was. I imagine it's a distraction to an opponent. It's like, is this real? How does this even?
But Kenny Omega did have. He shaves his arm 3 days before matches because it leaves stubble and it blinds his opponents. And he revved his arm up like it was a chainsaw.
Yeah, and he can saw his forearm into your eyes and the stubble because the motherfucker's got some strong arm hairs.
There you go. I mean, he had also sprayed
like a cool
hair product.
It was a cooling, like a body cooling spray.
Yeah, into his opponent's eyes.
Yeah.
Which he also had the Young Bucks out there helping him.
Yeah,
Which all this
It's pretty much stacked.
which all this led to him winning the belt.
surprise.
Yeah.
He calls himself a cleaner. He's going to clean up the division, and the way I guess he decided to do that was first thing he'd do is win the belt.
Yeah.
Yep, which he did.
Bullet Club victory.
Yep. Volt Club victory, which then leads into
Bullet Club defeat.
Oh.
One of my favorite tag teams got defeated tonight. The next match was for the IWGP heavyweight tag belts. Doc Gallows is what they call him over there, and Carl Anderson were defeated by Gato and Shibata, which they said on here that the two of them were pretty much kind of lifelong friends.
Yeah.
Because they went to high school together, they were on the same wrestling team together in high school.
Yeah, but they were like rivals.
For a while too.
Like friendly rivals.
Yeah.
And then they got together to fight, and then they were known as not being able to finish the deal to win the big one.
Yeah.
And, well, tonight they proved everybody wrong.
Yeah, they winning, which is a very good match.
And Shibata, they actually mentioned later on, he's one of like the big four guys in the company, or like one of the up and coming guys that they think will build the company around. Stryker mentions that later on. He reminds me of, we talked about it, Kenta.
Yeah. The current Hideo Itami. They look a lot alike.
Yeah.
The way he kept his hair and stuff.
Yeah.
But also the fighting style. Lots of kicks.
Lots of kicks.
Yeah.
And also, I think you mentioned they fought like Finn Balor and Hideo Itami do.
Yeah. They did the deal where they had both guys down in on opposite corners, and then they point to each other, then run and do the drop kicks on each, and they tagged a lot like that, which I'm assuming is, I mean, like here in America we have a lot of things that you're going to see from tag teams over and over and over, especially like say WWE, that all tag teams do. That just might be a thing in Japan.
It may be, or it may be that they're patterning themselves after, or Hideo and Finn are patterning themselves after. It could be anything.
Yeah.
Now they did go after the big guy though. They went after Doc Gallows.
Yeah.
I guess figuring you take out the hardest thing first, and you got
Yeah. Well, he is the bigger, but Anderson's pretty devastating.
Yeah.
Plus, he's got that like RKO stunner type maneuver he does that they kept almost getting caught with.
Yeah, he countered it, and that's actually I think how they lost. He got countered and they beat him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a defeat to the Bullet Club. So that was actually the second defeat to the Bullet Club for the night.
Yeah.
With one win. Yeah, so
they're the bad guys. You want to keep them.
Yeah, I mean that's how it generally is. I mean, like even at WrestleMania, you're usually looking at faces being the winners and keeping everybody happy and good, and so that's kind of the same type of deal, I guess.
Which we go from once again a Bullet Club defeat into a Bullet Club win.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big win.
The phenomenal AJ Styles defeating Tetsuya
Naito,
yep.
Yeah.
Who had awesome ring gear. He had spikes up one of his sleeves, and he had his initials in English. I don't know if they done that just for the GFW, or because a lot of their shirts were English too. So I don't know if it was a GFW thing or if it's just a thing that they do in New Japan. But his gear had like his initials in English, and then it also had like this really cool like spikes going up one sleeve. It was just pretty badass.
Yeah. And him and Styles had a great back and forth. Which I mean, AJ Styles. I mean, it's tough to see him having a good match. One thing that was interesting is that on his way to the ramp, Jim Ross and Matt Stryker made it a point to say that he had broken not one but two wrestlers' necks in the past year using the Styles Clash.
Which he has.
Which he has.
But it's not because AJ Styles is breaking necks.
Yeah, it's not like it's a purposeful thing. It's a head tucking thing. But but it's a thing that they've managed to. I don't know if they work that into his entrance like in the Japanese version, but they made it a point to bring it up in ours.
Yeah, well, Ross led with it. He also brought TNA a lot, and he said, and I believe rightfully so, that AJ Styles is the greatest talent that TNA ever had from start to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't say anything about how he missed the boat getting Styles in WWE. He made sure to just leave that out of there.
He mentioned WWE enough for the rest of the night. It was uncomfortable in times.
That's very true.
Because even during one of the matches, he's mentioned, hey, what would it be like if one of these guys was in the Rumble? And Matt Striker's like, hey, what would it be like if one of these guys was in New Japan Wrestling? You know, why do they have to be in the Rumble?
Yeah. Which the ending of it was really cool. Naito tried to do I think it was a powerbomb off the top rope, and Styles countered into the Styles Clash.
Yeah. There was a lot of countering. Before that, I thought my favorite part of the match was Naito had him. I want to say he was wrapping his arms, and maybe to toss him to the turnbuckle. And either way, AJ Styles flipped around and put him in the calf cutter like super fast.
Yeah.
Like blink and you miss it. He's in the calf cutter, and he got it locked in like hard.
Yeah.
And that move looks horribly painful.
It looks very painful. And then Naito managed to get the rope.
But they made Naito. I mean, they brought up the fact that Nato's not won at Wrestle Kingdom. But Naito also looked really strong in the match.
Yeah, and they said that Styles had lost to him, I believe, before.
And let's not forget how this match started. This match started with Styles trying to go for the Styles Clash twice in a row. Just twice right off the bat.
Yeah.
And the commentary, one of the times they actually did something really well in the night, brought up the fact of how much of a sign of respect that was, that he wanted to
end it early.
Yeah, because he knew that the longer it went, the more likely he wouldn't last.
Yeah. But very crisp wrestling from both guys. It wasn't like AJ Styles was in there with a guy they were throwing a bone to. Both these guys deserved that match.
Yeah,
it was a really good match.
They were outside for a little while. AJ was kicked into the guardrail.
Yeah.
Like it was very physical. It wasn't just quick maneuvers and stuff. There was some just heavy impact stuff and a little bit of fighting outside as well. But yeah, it was. I mean, that's the thing we're saying. Oh, it's been a good match. We said that 1,000 times so far. Well, they were all good matches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, it was $35. It was definitely worth it. Like, there was no...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And before the network, and even with the network, there's times where I don't feel like a pay-per-view from the WWE is worth the $10 that I pay. But this is fully worth $35.
Next up is our co-main event, which this was probably one of the best, if not the best.
This is my favorite match.
If this is the Intercontinental, is this Intercontinental?
Yes, this is the Intercontinental.
Yes,
my favorite
this match is the match of the night.
Yep.
Yes.
This is the match of the night.
Shinsuke Nakamura versus Ibushi.
Yeah, Ibushi. I don't know. I'm not, unfortunately not familiar with him. I think there's great things in his future, though.
Yeah, I said I know a decent amount about Nakamura. I watched him wrestle before. Ibushi I've never seen, but this was a phenomenal match.
And it was brutal.
Yes.
I thought we might get a pin off a slap. It was like that, or just a closed fist punch later on in the match. I mean,
They beat the crap out of one
they
another.
did mention that. I think both of these guys. I think they mentioned had mixed martial art experience.
Yeah.
like a lot of the New Japan
Nakamura
wrestlers.
is undefeated.
Yeah.
And Nakamura, my favorite part about him is he's like this lanky guy who kind of slithers and dances around the ring, due to his love of Michael Jackson and Freddie Mercury and all this. And the guy is like, fucking like brings death. Like, he is awesome.
Well, he's the king of strong style.
Yeah.
So he comes out with a cape
I mean, he comes out like
and a crown.
He comes out
like
a king, or like an anime character, or like something Michael Jackson would have done for a concert.
Yeah, not like a Jerry Lawler carrying my crown king. This dude was wearing his crown, had a huge cape.
Yeah,
he had like a suit you would expect a king to wear. Like, he looked like the real deal.
yeah, and his opponent mimicked him a lot and copied that stuff that he's done. Like, he steps on your throat and shakes around and things like that. Well, I mean, he fights. It's not dirty, but he's kind of disrespectful, I guess, or like, showing that his opponent doesn't matter as much.
Yeah. Very
Ric Flair-like. And the audience seem to think of him like that, as in they cheer the fact that he does, he's that classic guy that can get away with murder.
Well, they mentioned that he believes that everybody in the roster is beneath him, that nobody's worthy of facing him. So I guess that's what it is.
But he can back it up.
Yeah, he can.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He kicked this guy. He kicked poor Ibushi in the face. Mm-hmm. Like, at first it was just kicks, and then he's just holding his head down and kicking it, punting him in the face, and slapping him. And there are a few times I feel like that it wasn't a wrestling match; it was a fight, because Ibushi at one point in time was just straight right into his face.
Yeah, closed fist, full on.
Yeah.
Ibushi was just kicking the shit out of him.
And the guy looked like he didn't know what was going on. And
I mean, it was just high impact. Lots of close calls, false finishes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but Nakamura ended up getting the win.
Yeah, I'm retaining the
title.
Mm-hmm.
And after the win, we can't forget there was a fist bump.
There was like a respectful fist bump. Ibushi was crying, which that's one thing I noticed. If you lose at Wrestle Kingdom, there's gonna be some tears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you put so much of yourself into the match. I mean, it's just
Like
like
WrestleMania.
yeah. Well, yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, and they talk. Stryker talks about how the Intercontinental title is like on par with their main heavyweight world title, and I feel like it's probably partially because of the current carrier of that title.
Yeah.
It was definitely the better match. Maybe because of they mentioned that the current champion has some neck problems and back problems. The heavyweight champion, but I mean, it was still a good match. So
Yeah. Talking about the heavyweight title, that's the main event of the evening.
And that is the 10th match, folks, for you counting.
yeah.
10 matches in 4 hours.
A lot of wrestling.
And this last match was, it started at about the 10:27 mark. The pay-per-view went to 11. So you're looking at a good half hour for the main event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tanahashi, who, I will add this, he has held the IWGP title the most. He's had 7 reigns with it.
He is the John Cena.
He's the John Cena, the Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, and the Shawn Michaels of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Which Jim Ross actually, on a pre-show thing I watched online, compared him to their version of John Cena.
He looks like a superhero.
Yeah.
Like, of everybody who wrestled tonight, Marufuji kind of did too, but he took the mask off. But he comes out here, and he's got a cape. Not a cape. It's like a robe, but it's like a cape. And he's got, like, his boots come up like a superhero's, and kids love him. It's like an anime character, a superhero.
Yeah, but he's also like this air guitar guy. Like it's weird. It's like he's Heath Slater and John Cena combined. That's a good. I think that's a good.
There we go.
That's a good.
He faced off against Okada, the Rainmaker.
The Rainmaker, who drops money from the roof of the arena.
Which did not.
He didn't do that this time.
All the videos previously.
It did a little bit.
Did it?
Yeah, it didn't happen right away. It happened on one side, so maybe it messed up a little bit.
But yeah, they had the hype video before the match, and led into that. He come out. Who did he come out with?
Jado. Or Jado, I think. Or Gato?
Ghetto.
Gato, yeah. It's spelled G-E-D-O.
Yeah.
Is how his name's spelled. So.
And he came out, and then the champ came out, and it's one of those times where the fans, you could hear them.
Oh, yeah. Now, the Rainmaker, he's kind of like... See, this is where I wish there'd been subtitles for those promos. Because they kind of build him up like he's sort of like a JBL or $1 Million Man.
Yeah, it's like he's a benevolent Ted DiBiase.
Yeah, he's really cool.
Like apparently he's like a philanthropist.
Yeah, he has this move. It's called the Rainmaker Clothesline. If he wins a match with it, he donates 30,000 yen to charity for cancer research.
Because his father and grandfather died of cancer, I believe is what they said.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good guy. They're both good guys.
Yeah. So it sounds like But the way he presents himself in the video, you would think he's a heel just by the look of him.
Oh yeah.
He's in the suit. And he's got kind of like his hair's like combed over, and it's kind of dyed like this light purple, and he's standing in this big luxurious thing, and it's like you would think he would be saying, I'm better than everyone, but apparently that wasn't the case. He was like, this is an orphanage I own, and like I'm gonna go give them all tacos. But I don't know.
He sort of reminds you of The Miz.
Yeah, and the problem too is that Stryker and JR, they didn't have any. They apparently had no knowledge of what was going on as far as these vignettes or what anyone was saying. They didn't have any interpreter letting them know what was being said on the mic for any of this.
Yeah.
They would come back after a few minutes when there was time and tell what was said, but you kind of had to make it yourself, which is what I was saying. Like, we could have watched it with the sound down and enjoyed it just as much.
JR tried to bill it as the Rainmaker being the young upstart to take Tanahashi's belt in place. Because he was in his late 30s, he has neck and back problems, and he's been the longest reigning champion. He's the institution of New Japan Wrestling. Oh, also, he's main evented every Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, every single one.
Which is impressive as hell.
Yeah, he's been in 9 Wrestle Kingdoms, and he has been the main event of 9.
Yeah,
that's one thing, even John Cena can't say that about WrestleMania.
They said he won 3, lost 3, and tied. No, it's like he tied one of them, and then they gave his record. I think he lost 3 and he won 6. Or something like that, something along those lines.
Before we move on too much further, let's go ahead and talk about how much AstroTurf would hurt to land on.
Oh my god!
Yeah. Oh my, yeah. It's one of those things. Okay, carpet burn is like, I would say, like a 4. AstroTurf, I feel like would be like a 9.
Yeah.
Add into that your sweaty skin. Like, I just feel like it's just a recipe for disaster.
Now, we bring that up because, remember earlier we mentioned there's the 30 feet of space. Well, that's AstroTurf, because the Tokyo Dome is where the Giants play baseball. So, at one point in time, Tanahashi throws the Rainmaker into the AstroTurf, jumps on the top rope, and leaps probably 15 or so feet onto the AstroTurf.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the top rope over the guardrail. I mean, if this was American TV, I mean, as far back as that guardrail was, you're looking like he would have jumped into like
Third or fourth row.
The third or fourth row into the audience. Yeah.
Yeah, and he caught it.
And, they both took it full on. And
Just AstroTurf.
AstroTurf. Just unforgiving, just ground.
Yeah.
And, like, you thought that Omega's short, stubby arm hairs would hurt. Yeah, that AstroTurf would be something else.
You not only had that spot, but you also had another phenomenal spot in this on the ramp as well. The second time in the night the ramp came into play.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the action went all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually spent quite a bit of time outside of the ring overall.
Yeah.
Which in this they give a 20 count, like Ring of Honor. But thankfully, like Western wrestling, the refs are very lackadaisical on making that count.
Yeah.
Though Jim Ross did make it a point to say that he thought that the Western audience referees, you could order food through a drive-thru at a restaurant, and the time it takes them to count to 5.
Yeah, he was very angry at the refs for some reason. I don't know.
He was all over the place. And also, the Rainmaker's dropkick, and Jim Ross spent 5 minutes talking about this dropkick, which I feel like wasn't because he thought the dropkick was awesome, so much as it was he picked this dropkick out because he knew what a dropkick was.
Yeah. However, the dropkick was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, he was completely horizontal. His entire body was it was an arrow into his face.
And no one had ever kicked out of the Rainmaker clothesline either. The clothesline.
Yeah, nobody kicked out of the clothesline.
Ever.
But the drop kick was apparently like his signature like lead up to it. So he managed to get that off.
Tanahashi's signature was the dragon screw, which he done about 8 or 9 times.
Yeah. He made sure to, and he did it at one point. The Rainmaker's knee was draped over the rope on the outside. He leapt to the outside doing the dragon screw onto the outside while his leg was over the ropes. He did both legs. He basically fucked him up so he couldn't walk. So that way he had to lay there and take multiple splashes from the top rope.
Yeah, front splashes, yeah. That's his actual finish. Well, Stryker says he has to hit multiple times.
Yeah.
So.
Which he did. He hit it.
He hit it 4 times.
4
times
total,
altogether. No, it's two in the middle of the match, 2 at the end to retain the title and
to perform an air guitar concert.
we had a lot of air guitar party.
Yeah. That's the thing is like. Okay, once it's over, and this thing before, like the Intercontinental belt, once it was done, there was like the fist bump, there was the respect, and there was generally respect. The one with the UWFI rules, they hugged it out at the end and, respect each other. Okay, the Rainmaker is leaving. He's going up the ramp. The people are chanting for him. He's bawling his eyes out. He falls to his knees, losing it. The champ takes the mic. And it gets on the turnbuckle and starts talking to him. Well, we don't know what the hell he's saying, but it's like there's this. I was like, it could be something like jerky, like just his general, the facial expressions. He seemed pretty smiley about the whole deal. But I was like, he's probably actually saying, I respect you. We'll meet again. Blah blah. Nope. This is one of those things that during the the 9th air guitar encore. Jim Ross and Matt Stryker got the translation of what he said, and apparently it was, "You're nowhere near ready being the face of New Japan.
It's still me.
It's great that I won the championship.
Yeah.
You suck." Like he's kind of a douche.
Yeah. So this is how the air guitar works. He was going to leave, and people are like, no, come back. Do the air guitar. And he's like, okay, I'll do it. Someone throws him an air guitar. He catches it, plays the air guitar, smashes the first one, kicks it out of the ring.
Yes. And this is pantomime.
Yeah.
He's pantomiming.
But when he
all
plays
of
it,
this.
they play guitar. They play guitar music over the loudspeakers.
Yes.
So then they throw him another one. He plays it for a minute, more guitar riffs. He throws it to the crowd. They throw him another air guitar. He does this like 8 times.
Yeah. This it was like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure in the ring for a little while.
I think it was that riff too, or something close to it.
Luckily, he had enough towels to dry off with.
Yes.
Yeah. This was something we noticed during the match is that the fans don't have like a lot of handmade poster board signs. Like at a WWE event, you don't see much like Ring of Honor, but like WWE, there are signs blocking anywhere you sit. You can't see shit because people are holding up these fucking signs.
Yeah.
because they want to be on television. Well, it looked like in this New Japan, people had towels with like sayings written on them. A lot, like kind of like you see the WWE have now that like John Cena brings out. He's like, hey, I got a towel and a shirt and all this other shit. Well, the towels with the Champs logo, which was
it was a 1/over 100.
Yeah,
because it means he's a one in a century talent.
Yeah, and it was like keep the full throttle, ace of the universe.
Yeah, it's an ace across his tights.
Yeah, it was something. Well, they were throwing these towels to him up the ramp, and he would wipe his face and throw it back, and someone else would throw a towel and he'd wipe his face, and it was like all these people were just like in their souls, they needed this guy's sweat to take home.
And he, to his credit, every towel.
Yeah.
We're
talking, it was probably like 20 towels.
He's dry.
It was like he was just licking towels to get them wet.
Oh, I also want to mention the IWGP belt. We had to look up the history of it because it looks ancient. And from best we can tell, if you win that belt, it's the same belt that the first person who won that belt won.
Yeah, this is
the fourth
iteration, and it's been since about 2007. Which I mean, you're still looking at like 8 years of a belt, which makes it's gonna look tarnished and older because of that. But it's not like a WWE belt where when you win it, they're gonna give you one to take home, and that's the one you use, and it's personalized. This thing, they have to pass it on to the next guy.
But when you win it, they put your nameplate in front of it. When you lose it, they take your nameplate and they put it on the side plate.
Yeah, the side plates were covered in names
of every person who's held that belt.
Yeah.
Which I guess Tanahashi should be on there 6 times.
He probably is. He's probably got his name on multiple times.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was cool too is that whenever anyone coming out to the ring was a belt holder, part of their entrance with the LED screens scrolling across, it would tell what number champion they were out of the lineage of New Japan.
Yeah. Like Tanahashi, I think was the 64th. I think I don't know if it was Tanahashi, but somebody tonight that had a belt, it said 64th.
Yeah.
I think somebody had one that was like 132nd.
Yeah. I want to say that one was either Tanahashi or 64th with Tanahashi. Yeah. I'm not positive on that. The entrance map also. You don't come. Well, I think AJ Styles came out, but a lot of people came up through the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not like Rey Mysterio where they shot up. Some
one guy did.
Yeah, one guy did. But
Ibushi did. Ibushi shot up.
Yeah, Ibushi shot up out of it. Yeah, but for the most part, it just rose up, and Tanahashi got to the end of it, got a microphone out of a little microphone cradle, like an upholstered microphone cradle. He cut a promo, which they didn't give a translation for that one.
Yeah, but it could have been anything.
It could have been like, "Hey, thanks for coming to the show."
Yeah.
And then the microphone stand, the microphone, his air guitar, he got another air guitar.
There was an air guitar sitting beside the microphone. Yeah, is my guess.
Okay, well, he straps it on, starts playing it again, and it's like he's playing it and going down into the floor. Yeah. This guy, it sounds ridiculous. Sounds like we're making fun of him, but he's awesome. He's so awesome.
I mean, the whole thing, the pageantry of this stuff it's so uniquely Japanese, I feel like.
Yeah. And it's not like gimmicky sports entertainment bunny stuff. Mm-mm. It's
like this epic. I mean, and some of it doesn't play off well, but for the most part, it's like this epic. Like it's what you would see if you're watching, like the entrance of a villain for the first time in a Japanese anime, or like the head boss of a fighting game. Like it's very cool.
Well, it's like Japanese culture has a lot of guys like Tuxedo Mask and guys like that who, if you look at them, they're kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
But they're taken seriously enough that it's... Well, Jushin Thunder Liger. Mm-hmm. He is based off a comic book character and a cartoon character, but he's also one of the most recognizable, known Japanese wrestlers. And he's not at all, like, comical. He just happens to wear that. Yeah, and that's what a lot of these guys like this happen to do.
Yeah, and I think the idea of having wrestlers. I mean, I think the idea of having wrestlers as superheroes is fantastic. I think there's no. I don't think it's a knock. I don't think it's like an overly PG thing. I think it's a thing that just it just makes them that much more larger than life, and that people can get behind it. I mean, merchandise sales are going to be good.
Yep.
Visuals are going to be good. You're going to be able to cross market
Licensing,
other stuff. Like,
now, I think it works better with culturally with that type of like anime top heroes.
yeah, because well, I mean, in the United States,
You don't want
cartoons still aren't taken seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, and superheroes are starting to now, but still, people more like the Avengers because they joke around a lot. You know?
Yeah, and not the best we can get is Seth Rollins sort of wearing a superhero outfit.
Yeah.
But over there, like anime's shown in primetime on like their networks.
Yeah, well, it's because they realize that just because a medium is something other than it's animated doesn't mean it has to be a designated age.
Yeah.
Like, just because something's animated means it can be adult. It doesn't,
Yeah,
you know.
it really
And sometimes in Japan, it is too adult.
that's true.
It's too adult.
But really, anime lets you do more. Like, oh, we can't have a giant space battle in real life. Let's draw it, or animate it computer. However, they
Yeah, and the thing is, on this card, you had guys who came out very superhero-ish.
Marufuji looked like he had a Master Rider helmet or mask. Yeah,
And then you had guys who came out and were there to fight. And the thing is, they were all there to fight, and it all worked together. It wasn't like, the Legends, our guess anyway, of the Legends versus the Bullet Club 6-man tag was kind of, but for the most part, it's very much just, these are just all taken seriously, no matter what they look like, what their character is. Even if they're supposed to be funny or they bring the best to the table. This isn't one of those things where it's like, oh, this guy's a comedic thing, or this guy's a superhero, so he's a throwaway, like the Hurricane sometimes was. And they still take them just as serious. Yeah. And I think it's great.
Being a character is not their job. Being a wrestler is their job. And so with that in mind, they just let the wrestling speak for itself.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. Yeah. That's why I like Tanahashi's fun, because he does all this stuff and kids love him, but he doesn't let it dominate the fact. He doesn't go to the ring and try to be Superman.
Yeah, he doesn't do air guitar while he's wrestling.
No.
He saved that shit.
Yeah.
He surprises us with that shit. He just dropped it in right there.
Well, in fairness, he does it in the promo like the whole time.
That's
he's
true.
He's like jamming out.
That's true.
Also, the hairstyles in Japan are amazing. Like, you got guys with long hair who have. I'm miming it now so you can see it. That's great.
Yeah. Right now, Matt has his hands in his hair, like you can see him having his hands in his hair.
But like, they have long hair. Like, the whole side of it's buzz, or they'll have like Tanahashi has long hair. And he has his bangs, and then like along the sides it's cornrowed, but like his whole hair isn't cornrowed.
And it's like a full mullet in the back.
Sort of, but it's also sort of like full on like huge anime hair,
Yeah. Ibushi had anime hair. He had like Dragon Ball Z hair, and somehow his bangs stayed like that, like the entire
until
time.
the end when it went to Mohawk, he became Saiyan.
Yeah.
He went Super Saiyan.
Yeah. Well, one guy even had he was basically buzzed completely off. And he had a mohawk, but it was just from the back of his crown to his neck.
Yeah.
The top of his head was bald.
Yeah, and his hair was white.
And the thing is, it looked perfectly reasonable.
Yeah. But then you also had guys who had buzz cuts, normal haircuts. But it was fine. It really was. It wasn't like... It wasn't dumb. It was just good, solid wrestling. And it's not... I don't think it's going to be what Global Force Wrestling is totally...
No, I can see that they'll be pulling a few guys in. I think that they'd be pulling a few more of the Bullet Club members than they would more of the New Japan. But I think that they will bring some New Japan guys to some shows.
I can see Tanahashi doing stuff. Especially if they can get somebody who can translate. Because I don't... Well, he may speak English fine.
Yeah. But then again, they don't have to cut promos.
That's true.
Just have them wrestle. That's the thing. We don't know what kind of product Global Force is going to do or what they're planning. But, if they have wrestling like... If they can bring this style of wrestling... Just let it, like Durbin said, speak for itself.
Yeah, and if we go back to January of last year, to January of this year, Global Force Wrestling in one show has put on a better wrestling show than the WWE has in a year, probably in 2 years.
To be fair, though, Global Force Wrestling imported this show.
True.
That's true.
New Japan put on a better show.
But to a lot of people's minds, it's going to be Jeff Jarrett's Global Force Wrestling.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I mean. He's the gateway. That's the gateway to New Japan, and that might be what Global Force is. So it's I don't want to overhype it or anything like that because it's not Global Force Wrestling's show. It's they produced it and they presented it, but if all you care about is wrestling, watch this.
Yeah. You should be watching this. Once this is finished, you should try to find a way to watch that.
Yes.
Yeah, it might be a little rough,
we actually had to watch it on the Flips app, which was suggested to us on the Global Force Wrestling website. We downloaded the app. It works on Google or iTunes. And then it's $34.99. You pay, which I liked on the iPad because I was able to pay for it through my iTunes account. And it came right up. Ran it through the television, worked great, which means on your Apple TV it will also work fine.
Now, there is it's slight throughout the show. There's some audio, like a few seconds of audio delay. It seems to come and go.
There's also a couple spots where it seems like the action is almost like it's going to glitch, so it almost seems like it's missing frames here and there.
Yeah.
So where it looks almost like it's slow motion, but it's not. It's like it's trying to catch up. I feel like that's just part of the broadcasting.
Yeah.
And the one thing we might also have to caution them about is the fact that if something replays, it might not be that the video's going back, but that their replays can come out of nowhere.
Yeah. There's no second screen experience. It is purely, they will show a replay. Sometimes they'll show a replay at the cost of you seeing a critical move.
Well, in the Tanahashi match, the main event, they did a replay, and I was like, oh, that's a replay of it. But it was the Rainmaker hitting the Rainmaker clothesline. It wasn't a replay. It was a replay, and then it wasn't. And I was completely disoriented for a second.
Yeah, because there's no fade in or cutout for the replays. It seems like a different camera angle, and then there's a replay, and so it's just like they cut, and there's and so that's a little jarring at first. Also, when you first start to hit it, the entire intro, which is fairly long,
It's Japanese.
and it's telling all about all of the participants and the storylines leading up to this. It is all 100% in Japanese. Don't worry, once the actual matches start, Jim Ross and Matt Striker come in.
Also, the promo videos, there's a Japanese voiceover, and there's a commercial for all their dates, and it goes from now until August, I think.
Yeah.
So it's about 4 or 5 minutes, but it's okay because it's 4 hours of wrestling. You need a break anyway.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I would give the show like a 9 out of 10. I think the only thing that hurts it, honestly, is the thing that a lot of people will be hyped for. That's JR. I think JR hurts the show a lot better.
Yeah,
more than
and
anyone
you're
else.
probably going to think we're cocksuckers for saying that, too.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you watch it with an open mind, and we watched it with the excitement of Jim Ross, and by the time it was over, it was clear that Matt Striker was the standout on that announced team.
Matt Striker's becoming the guy.
And that it's not that JR necessarily takes away, it's just he's the color commentary guy.
Yeah, he's king.
Yeah. He's become the Jerry Lawler of that.
He's I don't want to say he's passed by
Yeah.
because this is different wrestling than what he's used to. But he's totally not within his element.
Yeah. I think with some time, and probably even not that much time, it would be spot on. But we talked about it earlier, like Steve Corino might have been a better choice.
Yeah.
Steve
To
Corino,
go with Matt Striker.
or Joey Styles, that would have been amazing. But
That would have been because Joey Styles would have known every fucking move
he
on that
would've.
show, and he would have named every single one of them. There would actually that might have been a problem because if Joey Styles named every single move, there would have been no other commentating because he would have just been because moves happen nonstop in this. It is all fast paced. There are no slow matches during this.
there's a move that happened in the opening match. One of the tag teams done. They picked the guy up like it was a suplex him, and then they flipped him out and dropped him on a knee or something. It was crazy, and even it was just crazy. And there's even a couple times where a wrestler would do something, and Jim Ross was like, "What did he just do?" And Max Striker would be like, "Well, he's not really done that before." And then Jim Ross would be like, "I don't know what the hell just happened."
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one thing I did notice. I thought it was funny. Was I think it was Ibushi did a Frankensteiner onto Nakamura.
Yeah.
And sorry, it is late. It is late, and we've had no sleep, so I'm slowing down here. And Jim Ross called it a Frankensteiner.
Yeah.
And then immediately corrected himself and called it a Hurricane Rana. And then Matt Striker was like, It's cool. It's cool. They'll kill us anyway or whatever.
Yeah,
Basically figured they were gonna take some heat for some of that. I think anyway, just not being up to par on some of the move sets and things happening.
Well, I always took it that if they done it from a standing position, just jump and do a head scissor takeover. That's a Frankensteiner. And if you run with it, that was a Hurricanrana. That's the way I always done it myself. But I don't know that that's even anything. I know Scott Steiner, though, will punch you in the face if you call a Frankensteiner Hurricanrana.
I feel like Scott Steiner might punch you in the face if you just said, "Hey, Scott Steiner."
Yeah.
There was a whole thing where he almost killed Matt Tenay for calling a Hurricanrana a Frankensteiner a Hurricanrana. Like, WCW, yeah. Like, he hit him by the tie. Like, it's a Frankensteiner. I invented it.
I know, Scott Steiner freaked out on a guy when he was asking about action figures. Like, I don't play with dolls. I'm a grown-ass man. Like, that's one guy who'll probably never be on the show because I feel like my intimidation factor would be too high to where I wouldn't be able to ask anything of importance for fear of the table being flipped. That was technically the Global Force Wrestling's first pay-per-view, which is actually, of course, New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom 9. Whether Global Force keeps importing other pay-per-views, that'd be awesome if they just put on some shows on pay-per-view from the UK and some stuff that we've not been exposed to.
Stuff.
Yeah,
AAA. I could see that.
Because Jarrett spent time down there,
Jarrett
so he's got
champion,
a lot of connections. It's great. There's been rumor that they might do some work with Ring of Honor. I don't think Ring of Honor necessarily needs them as a distributor of any type. I think they do great with their pay-per-view system. However, if it gets some more Ring of Honor guys on say like a weekly program at a set time that's not 2 a.m. on Fox, that would be fantastic as well. And
if they work for AAA, Alberto El Patron is AAA champion, who's also in Ring of Honor right now. So there might be like a separation, degrees of separation there where Ring of Honor guys are working.
Yeah. So Global Force, if it acts as kind of like a freelance wrestling organization that just brings in whoever, which from the way I understood it originally, that's kind of what they had planned. It could be some big things, but so far so good on this first pay-per-view.
Yep. Definitely check it out.
Yep. Let's move on to something else.
The Declaration of Independence.
As you can probably guess from that sweet title, this is where we cover the world of independent wrestling. Normally we go through a few different companies, but tonight we're concentrating solely on Ring of Honor because holy fuck, we went last night to their TV tapings in Nashville, Tennessee, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it was. And we drove better part of the day to get there. We don't disclose our location for our own safety.
Yes.
But we drove roughly 1,000 hours to get there.
Yes, it was 100,000 hours. Like we drove from the center of the earth to Nashville, Tennessee, and it was worth every minute to see what we saw.
Yeah.
But that's also why we sound like shit because we've not slept at all.
I've experienced this weekend. I have slept 5 hours. I have experienced roughly 10 hours of wrestling.
Yeah, and also, to Matt's credit, he also may have had a mild heart attack upon meeting Jay Briscoe in person.
I don't know if you guys listen to this podcast, but I talk a lot. Jay Briscoe walked up to me, and it kind of surprised me that I was able to shake hands with him after the show. But I found myself in a state of speechlessness.
You were starstruck.
I was starstruck. For one, it was just like the end of an awesome 4 hours of amazing wrestling, and Jay Briscoe is one of the reasons it's amazing. And it's just, to me, I don't want to be like the guys like, I'm marking out.
Oh, do that again. Make that noise. Yeah.
There were people there who certainly were doing that.
Yeah, well, they were doing it in the way of they had a lot to. I'll keep on the side of the Angels and say that they simply had too much to drink.
Yeah.
But they were very much, I want to say assholes is a good word, as far as harassing the talent that was coming out. Granted, we were waiting to try to pull a few interviews, which we did.
Yeah.
And you'll be hearing in upcoming episodes.
Respectfully, though.
And, of course, this one with the Jay Diesel interview.
Mm-hmm.
But it almost soured on me wanting to approach anyone asking for an interview because seeing them having to deal with the bullshit they had to deal with. I mean, some of the fans were respectful and asking for pictures and being nice, but some were just berating and
chasing them across the entirety of the Tennessee State Fairgrounds.
Yeah, we won't be too specific for anyone listening, but it was it wasn't one of those things where as a fan you feel like you're painted in a good light amongst the rest. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. Don't be into asshole who bothers the dude who just put on an amazing show for you. I mean, if they want to talk to you, fine. And I think that's part of what it was to me. Like, I figured he'd be so tired that he just wouldn't want to get in the car and leave. Mm-hmm. But he took the time, not just me, several of the fans out there he shook hands with, and
Yeah. We were doing an interview at the time, and the guy we're talking to, he was riding with, so he came up and shook everybody's hand, but not mine because I was on camera doing an interview. So I missed that.
Also, you're kind of skeezy.
I am kind of skeezy. I may be too skeezy for Jay Briscoe. I doubt it.
However, he does have a very firm working man's handshake.
It's because he's defending that damn title.
And the chicken farm.
And the chicken farm. Yeah,
he defends the chicken farm.
He defends the chicken farm.
The sad thing of this is that we can't go into too much detail on what we saw. Not that we can. I could tell you everything. It would be great when we talk about it for hours. One, we don't want the show to go forever, but also we honestly don't want to ruin Ring of Honor TV for the next 4 weeks for people.
Yeah, watch it your damn selves.
I mean, Facebook and Twitter, Ring of Honor puts up some spoilers. We'll talk about anything that they've put up. We're not going to go beyond that. We're going to talk about match outcomes. We might talk about how cool a match was or something that highlighted for us, but we're not going to ruin it just because we were there. That's kind of a dick move.
Yep. Oh, and also beforehand, we got to meet Alberto El Patron, Jay Lethal, and Matt Sydal.
Yeah, and they were all three super cool guys.
Class acts.
Got pictures with us. If you've checked the Facebook or the Twitter, we posted those up.
Sure
so you guys see how sexy we are.
Or you get to see Alberto El Patron, Matt Sydal, and Jay Lethal, and we're just there. Whatever.
Yeah. So, hey, but they walked away with a couple of T-shirts. So they technically own Developmental Talent merchandise. Whether it was given to them or they bought it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They own Developmental Talent shirts.
And you probably don't.
Mostly because I have slacked on getting up the order details for that. So we'll get it soon. Our shirts are actually kind of cool.
Yeah, they are.
And they're made local. So, hey, I don't know. It's organic. Support the environment. Buy our shirts.
You're what's referred to as a locavore.
There we go.
You say that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
No. Durbin approved it.
Oh, okay.
So a couple things we'll talk about. One, the biggest thing that I feel like we're allowed to talk about and not step on anybody's toes or be assholes is ODB, former TNA knockout.
Yep.
Surprised everyone unannounced on the show, joining the Briscoes. ODB now stands for One Dirty Briscoe.
Yeah, and it was. She completely fits with them, and you'll see it.
Yeah, her style and theirs, it's like, I mean, if people didn't know her previously, they could be like, this is the Briscoe sister.
Yeah.
And, you couldn't
What
deny it.
going for. She's more like Mark than Jay. Mm-hmm. But that's okay. That's fine. I mean, it's and she got a huge response.
Yeah, the pop was gigantic. Of course, granted, at the time, it was. They had her come in at the perfect time.
Yeah.
And do what she does. Yeah. But she came in ODB style, flask in hand, other hand on her junk.
Yeah.
Just,
But not overly so. She did it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as much as what she was doing in TNA. I don't think she'd be as goofy.
Yeah, well, she had to spend a little bit of time busting some asses. And, so she had to concentrate on that a little bit.
Yeah.
But overall, it was good.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, there was the big deal for the show, and was what they advertised as well, was Alberto El Patron debuting on Ring of Honor TV. This was the first time they were going to be taping him, first time he was doing any Ring of Honor shows at Nashville. I got to say, I mean, the match that was announced which you'll be seeing in a couple weeks, is Alberto El Patron and Christopher Daniels, Fallen Angel.
I mean, you could ask for a better match than that.
I gotta tell you, it's a free TV match. It was very much a pay-per-view quality match.
Hell yeah, it was.
In fact, I would say a lot of the matches we saw, we got 4 main events over the course of the night for 4 weeks of shows. Every main event felt pay-per-view level.
That is the way you start off 2015 if you're Ring of Honor. I mean, that's the perfect way to get 2015 to be possibly one of the best years they might have, and they've had some really damn good years.
Yeah. And they came out and said they started 2014 in Nashville, and they decided to start 2015 in Nashville because it was one of the best years they had.
And they're going back in June also.
Yes.
But El Patron come out for the interview at first, and it was huge.
Yeah.
It was, oh my gosh.
Yeah, his reaction, I feel like the reaction he got and I've been to a number of WWE shows, I feel like the reaction he got at that Ring of Honor show dwarfed any positive reaction he got at a WWE show.
And it seems like he's reinvigorated. Like, he seems like he's refocused and just wants to wrestle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Throw out any preconceived notions you have about his ring style, persona, charisma levels, because he is over. I think I can go as that far with saying that.
Yeah. He is very much accepted by the Ring of Honor fans.
And not to get too personal or anything about what he has, but we saw him come up. He had the nicest car in the parking lot. Like, legitimately the nicest car in the entire parking lot.
That is true. That is true.
So at least that part of his gimmick is true.
Yeah. It wasn't a Rolls, but still, yeah.
It was a pretty nice damn car.
I mean, it was great all around. Go ahead.
One other thing that I was really excited to see was the first round of a very influential tournament for Ring of Honor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like we can talk about the first round a little bit because it's going to be on television this coming Saturday, wherever Ring of Honor TV plays in your area. You can check your local listings. I think that's what they say. It was between Jay Diesel, who you heard on our podcast earlier tonight, against Will Ferrara in the first round of the Top Prospect tournament.
Both
of these guys, man.
Yeah.
They're on it.
Now, they did choose a good matchup because Will Ferrara is more of a high flyer type guy, whereas Jay Diesel's like a power wrestler.
Yeah, and Will Ferrara is very much like the I am wrestling. He's the positive face of it. Jay Diesel, as you heard in the interview, is with the House of Truth. He came out with Truth Martini, but he's still kind of on like this probationary period. It seems like...
that plays into a little thing.
Yeah, it plays into the match a little bit. But I will say this. Over the course of 4 hours, lots of skin and bone met the guardrails.
Yes, they did.
But out of all those 4 hours, there was a fall-away slam by Jay Diesel onto Will Ferrara onto the corner guardrail that looked more brutal than anything else we saw during the night.
Yeah, well, it's usually the things that don't mean the biggest bang that hurts the worst, and I think that's what this is.
That guardrail did not move.
No.
It was unforgiving, and he took it all.
Yeah.
It was great. The Top Prospect tournament. Should we talk about the ending? I don't want to do a play-by-play on the match.
No,
I think people should watch it.
Well, I don't want to give anything away either, but they're definitely, like, some people complain that, like, oh, it's all indie. These are all indie guys, like, or indie top guys. You know, there's a guy named Beer City Bruiser. You know, he's exactly the way it sounds like. Yeah. But it's all good. It's all great.
Yeah, it's all these top prospects, man. Like, no matter what you think of the little video vignettes they've been doing beforehand, like pumping themselves, they all delivered in the ring. Over the course of the 4 hours, we saw the entire first round of the Top Prospect tournament. We're going to let Durbin here read off the participants.
I'm going to actually pass that off to you. That way I don't butcher anyone's name, because it is a little bit too late for me to try to be saying some of these names.
Look at him.
Understood. Which basically puts me under the bus. Fan-fucking-tastic. Okay, we had Will Ferrara and Jay Diesel, which we saw, and that'll be in this coming Saturday's show. Mm-hmm. We saw Donovan Dijak and Jake Durden. Jake Durden is a wild man.
Yeah,
like his persona is actually, I believe, a wild man.
Yeah.
He is like a Bruiser Brody type, crazed, like lumbering, quick giant. I don't know how to describe him. Like his thumb is taped up, giant beard. Like he's just a wild guy. He's a guy who let's just say that Ring of Honor security knows Jake Durden. We'll keep it at that.
Yep.
We followed that up with the Beer City Bruiser. That's right. The Beer City Bruiser. Mm-hmm. He's named so because he's a bruiser who swills beer.
And lives in a city?
And his physique shows...
He swills beer.
There's a lot of beer. He could be the Beer City. I'm not really sure. He fought Mikey Webb, who got a chant of Tyson Kidd because, surprisingly enough, he looks freakishly like Tyson Kidd.
Yep.
Almost like a caricature of Tyson Kidd.
Yeah. But not to his discredit. I mean, he's a great wrestler.
Yeah. He played up to it. It was the other thing. Yeah. Lastly was Ashley Six and Dalton Castle. Both of these guys delivered. Both have unique looks. Dalton Castle has possibly the best entrance of any wrestler I've ever seen.
Definitely the best entrance of 2015 so far.
We can describe it, but I feel like if we do, it'll just do it injustice.
We're not going to kill it for you people. We're going to say that Dalton Castle, when he comes in for his entrance, even when you think that entrance is over...
It's not.
Oh, it is not. The best is yet to come. I mean... This is why we're so worn out. When you go to a Ring of Honor show, I mean, these matches will make you physically exhausted. Mm-hmm. We talked about there was a Matt after a match that we're not even going to talk about who was in it.
Yeah, because it's kind of a spoiler.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he was talking about his hair was soaking wet from the sweat of of the non-activity of sitting on your ass and watching wrestling, still physically making you tired.
In fairness, if Durbin and Lemon had hair, theirs would have been too. But I have enough hair for both of them, I guess. Or all three of us.
And you're also assuming that we have sweat glands.
Well, that's true.
Just saying.
You had those removed? Is that what happened?
Hey, it's none of your business. It's nobody's business but my own. You're not my god.
Let's just put it this way. We saw 4 fantastic main events. 4 ways to close out, well, I guess the next month of programming.
Oh, yeah.
And it did the same thing that it did whenever we went to see Best in the World. It got me that much more excited about Ring of Honor and what they have coming, and it honestly makes WWE programming look worse and worse. And for weeks, I'll feel that way. For weeks, we'll watch it and we'll talk about it, and I'll have like this chip on my shoulder that I'm watching it and not watching Ring of Honor.
Yeah, like Raw tomorrow, I'm not even interested in, honestly. I mean, that's another like 4 hours or 3 hours of wrestling. But it's like, you ever look at like a pizza and like, I could eat that whole pizza. Mm-hmm. You can't. Raw tomorrow is going to be like the last piece of pizza that you like, I'm going to eat this. Blah! You know?
You're just gonna puke arm bars all over the place.
Arm bars and neck chops.
However, the adrenaline from this event gave us enough energy to drive all the way back.
To the center of the earth.
Yes, back to the center of the earth.
100,000 miles.
Yes, back to home base.
400,000 miles is what we drove.
And our lair with the mole people.
Yeah, well, we threw them out.
And it was fantastic. And we can't thank the performers enough at Ring of Honor for just the great show they put on. For their niceness with the fans.
Absolutely.
And their patience.
Even us waiting in line. There was a young fan, who his favorite wrestler in the world was Tommaso Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa comes out. He spent a good 5-10 minutes with this kid. Shook his hand, talked to him. Not just like, hey, man, thanks for coming. Like, he talked to the kid.
Yeah, they were discussing wrestling.
Yeah. And I'm sure that he'll never forget that, as long as he lives, that his favorite wrestler came out and spent the time.
And brought him a signed DVD.
Yeah.
Yeah, he left and came back out and brought him that, and talked for a little while longer.
Mark Briscoe also spent a lot of time talking to another younger fan who loved had the Briscoe boys shirts on,
signed his hat, and the thing is the best part about this is that, well, we talk shit about the fans after the show. The fans before the show, while completely sober, totally respectful. They weren't trying to like, oh, hey Jay. They let him take time with the kid, not bothering him. Granted, Jay Briscoe does look like he will kill you.
Yeah.
But that's just what adds to the charm. But yeah, I mean, the Ring of Honor, all their talent was great. They took the time to talk to us, which in turn we are going to share with you. Yeah, it was all around great. We can't recommend going to a Ring of Honor show enough.
Yeah. And big shout out to Jay Diesel, who talked to us earlier, like you heard earlier. Great guy.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys that, like, no matter how this Top Prospect tournament falls, he will be on the main roster of Ring of Honor.
And deservedly so.
Yeah. Him, Will Ferrara, a lot of these guys I could see, even if they don't come up immediately because of this Top Prospect tournament, they will be on the main roster.
Castle is my personal pick.
Yeah.
He's my favorite. And you'll see why. Yeah, it's amazing.
It is fantastic. Very much, let's just say that he and the Romantic Touch could very easily be a tag team.
The Romantic Touch is Lemon Juice's favorite wrestler in the history of wrestling.
Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah.
He's up there.
Yeah.
Just for just his gimmick's awesome.
So, man, if you're listening, he wants a rose.
I mean, I will say this as a slight spoiler. I'm not going to say who he's fighting, but the Romantic Touch managed to escape a bear hug by dry humping his opponent. I feel like you get away with that. You know your stuff.
Yeah, you do.
You know your stuff.
Yeah.
So that's it for this week's Declaration of Independence.
You want to buy some death sticks?
The word on Bad Street.
Do you like rumors? Because the internet sure as fuck does. This is the portion of the show where we cover some of those rumors, no matter how illegitimate or stupid they seem, and rate them on our bullshit meter. How's our bullshit detection rated? Well, gut instinct on how much garbage people spew. I mean, some internet rumors from some sites seem more credible, some don't. We're just going to give you a mixture.
Well, gut and a dartboard.
Mm-hmm. I just go with... sometimes I just go on the fly. I just go with... Fuck it. It's not true. So anyway, Justin Durbin, our resident rumor guy... what an asshole, right? Is going to give us a few. We're cutting it short tonight, though, because of we're running a little long, so we're only going to do a few. So let's kick it off.
All right. First thing to put before the shit scale today is, well, the WWE, according to the internet and a few different sources, are now reporting that in future WWE contracts, so whenever superstars have to renew a contract, new superstars come in, there's a new clause that's going to be added to all WWE-related contracts that essentially says, if you are fired for disciplinary action, you lose your merchandising right, and you cannot compete in any pro wrestling related activity or mixed martial arts for the next year.
I'm going to say that that's mostly true. As we know from Alberto El Patron, there's no D in it, that at the time of him being let go, he could not compete in the United States for a year.
Yep.
And they waived that. I believe Punk was set up the same way, and things have...
Well, I think Punk still is the same way, because he can't even do UFC till next year. So he might still be that way.
This is the next year. This is 2015. This
Well,
is what he's planning on doing.
last year's whenever.
Yeah.
Listen.
I don't know. It's that merchandising thing. I think it's actually. I'm gonna call this. I'm gonna call this like. What do we decide on the shit scale? We decided low.
One was low and true, and 10 was
The most amount of shit was 10.
Yeah.
So the more shit, the fake. That's right. I'm gonna call this a 2 because I feel like the WWE are assholes enough that they would do this. I mean, the merchandising thing, it's just like you're just cutting people off. But what it does is it means people are going to last their contract out.
Yeah. I don't know the legality of the merchandising thing. It might be one of those things where they say they can do it, and the people who don't get lawyer up and fight it, it happens to. Mm-hmm. If it's legal, I'm going to say it's a 1. They're definitely going to try it. Just because of what did Punk burn them for? And then just the last year is not being great for them for releases.
Yeah. Well, plus they got the whole thing where, I mean, they've got to where they kind of try to own everyone's names and their likenesses, and they trademark it all to where even the catchphrases. So
yeah, like even if it's your real name, they try to trademark it. Now that's something that's always kind of bothered me too. They will try to say they own your image and everything, but at the same time they'll say you don't actually work for us, we contract you. Mm-hmm. So they're a little skeezy in there anyway, and this is just one more thing. I'm sure they'll do it. It's a 1.
1? Okay.
All right. Just to give you a little bit of information, I sort of hid in my back pocket on this one. Mm-hmm. This rumor sites do, just like you all, say that if this did come to an extended legal battle, they as well do not believe it would hold up in court.
Okay.
So, while we're on the issue of contracts, the second rumor we have today is that apparently it's now floating around that the WWE will release Rey Mysterio from his contract before WrestleMania 31.
It seems like they've been fighting that so hard.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I guess if the guy's not going to come back, he's not going to come back. The question is can they still sell merchandise for a number of time without... They don't want to give anyone money that leaves in any way that would leave a bad taste in their mouth. So, true. I mean, they're not going to want to sell a bunch of Rey Mysterio masks, but I'd imagine him being off TV so long that shit's kind of dropped off.
Yeah.
It's had to have.
I feel like they'll fight that as much as they can, but ultimately they'll probably just do it. Because if he's not coming back, he's not coming back. It's not going to matter if it's before WrestleMania or after. You're not going to hold a guy hostage for WrestleMania.
I believe they will. I wonder if this 1 year no-compete clause will come into play for Rey Mysterio. Or if it would be wavered because of it. Like, they let him go, and that's part of it, is that he's able to go on to where he wants.
Yeah, he's just free and clear to go. That might be it, and maybe that's how they get their merchandise for it. Maybe they're like, we'll keep the mask for the year. You get to go wrestle for a year. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Again, I don't think that's legal. But, yeah, I think they'll fight it. They'll do everything they can to get him to show up. But if he doesn't want to show up, and he makes it known he doesn't want to show up, I think they'll let him go.
Yeah.
It's like I give it like a 2.
Yeah, I'm going to give like a 5 because I just don't know. I don't know one way or the other. I mean, it's that time limit and... it's just too tough to say.
And unfortunately, I just don't care about Rey Mysterio at this point. It's been too long.
Yeah. Which may be more credibility to the fact they let him go is because I feel like a lot of people are like that.
Yeah.
I mean, even some of Daniel Bryan's fandom wavered off.
Started to give up on him.
Not us tried and true fans, but some gave up and moved on. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. See how it plays out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm right about there on a 5 as well, just giving my personal on this one. And we're going to switch gears a little bit, move away from the WWE, and talk a little bit about Impact Wrestling. TNA sort of goes back and forth in terminology, but I think it's officially Impact Wrestling now.
Yeah, it's from all the logos they've shown, it seems to be the way they're going to play it.
Well, the rumor is, and this has been reported based on how they're filming Lockdown, that they are going to be done with pay-per-views and just stick with the two television shows angle. Their main wrestling show and then their secondary show, so that they would be done with pay-per-views because Lockdown is being recorded as a free on-television program, just sort of a themed event.
Okay. I think that It makes more sense that way. I think them building their brand on this new channel sets that up, because when they leave Spike, they're going to have to kind of rebuild their audience. So they're not going to know the numbers. I'm sure it costs a lot to do a pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. So you want to do a certain amount of numbers. And if you can't really advertise it by your television, if you don't have the audience right away, I think it makes sense not to do pay-per-views, at least in the beginning, until they build it up enough to see that it's going to work and then go back to it. However, I'm going to call this one about an 8 on the shit scale, because I don't think they'll be able to hold out. I think that they'll not plan on doing the pay-per-views, but they'll still try to pull one off.
I'm going to give it a 3 provisionally. I think they not doing pay-per-views is not the same thing as they not being on pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. I think whether it be Global Force Wrestling or New Japan or All Japan or Noah, they'll be on pay-per-views. It just won't be theirs. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't know how much that'd go.
Well, it won't be all the time.
Yeah, I'm just saying with the Jarrett situation and all that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what their working relationship is. I'm sure he's still on some of the company.
He said in an interview he still is owner, or partial owner of the company. Yeah. I could see them maybe keeping one, like their big one.
Yeah, that was my thought. Is like, they have Lockdown for free, and they might do a couple special events for free, and then do Jesus, what's their main one even called?
It's I know one of the big ones is Genesis. I don't know if that's their big one.
I don't think they still do that one.
No,
their main one is shit. We don't even know. We don't even know what TNA's main event is anymore.
Well, in fairness, they've not. I don't think they've had it.
No,
they had it, but not in a way that's like they've done like the free version of it on Spike a lot. I think.
I don't know.
It might change anyway. It might not be the same thing anymore.
Yeah, we're super tired. I don't know. I don't even feel like looking it up right now. We're not trying to be down on TNA. It's just I'm excited actually for their relaunch and everything for them. I just feel like some of their habits they're going to fall back into.
Well, that and this day and age, it's really hard to be. Even Ring of Honor does pay-per-views. It's really hard to be a national level wrestling company or global and not do them, just because the allure of the money. It's WWE does like 14 a year at one point in time. I think they do 12 now, but they were doing like 14 a year. And it's. I think less is more. If they did 1 a year or none a year, it'd be fine. Or just not Clash of Champions, where they have one big like 2-hour thing a year.
Yeah.
But it's on TV. So I think they'll try it, but I don't know how it'll work out.
Yeah. So I'll give it an 8.
I give it like a 5.
Okay.
8 and a 5. All right. So we have one more rumor today, sort of a short week in the rumor mill. Of course, there's always rumors online, but as far as what I have on my list today, final one. So it looks like, according to different sites that talk about this, TNA has gone through a massive re-signing period. And this was causing some questions of concern and positive confusion because of the fact that there was the talks of being in money issues, and the fact that they have looked like they have re-signed Jesse Gutierrez. It's now my turn to slaughter words. Kurt Angle, Abyss, and EC3, Ethan Carter III.
I think that's the best news that TNA could have, especially EC3. As far as like a 1 to 10, I don't know how that would work. I guess like a 1 because it's good news. It's great news that they're able to resign their talent, especially the guys who are going to be like the core of their future, like EC3, guys who are like Angle, who they can build around. So it is great news.
Yeah, I mean, going to Destination America and being able to say we have Kurt Angle is going to help them a lot more than just going to Destination America and saying we have Bobby Roode. I love Bobby Roode, but Kurt Angle, I'm sure for their channel lords or whoever handles things, is going to be more into the fact that Kurt Angle is going to be on that.
Now, the one I'm interested in is Bobby Lashley, how he'll work.
If he's signed.
If he signs, yeah.
Because if he's part of Bellator and all that's on Spike, I mean, there may be a conflict.
Yeah, or there might be hurt feelings there and it might just not show up. Yeah.
So I guess the rumor in itself, the part we could rate, is on TNA's money concerns, whether it's a valid money concern or whether or not they have the money in the pocket.
Okay.
Because you also have the rumor we talked a couple weeks ago about the $400,000 a year for El Patron contract that they rumored to offer.
Yeah. Which, after seeing him at Ring of Honor, they should really push that contract and try to get him. I don't know. I'm going to say that I'm going to say it's a 2, as in happening, because I feel like the getting the TV on Destination America, while that might not have been the ideal channel they wanted, they've then redone the logo. Mm-hmm. They've supposed to set up these contracts. Like they have a plan. I feel like maybe with that plan, that the money backing, the coffers will be a little more open to make sure they have these people for the relaunch, because it seems like the relaunch is being done well.
I think going back to the last rumor, no pay-per-views. Pay-per-views cost a lot of money, and if you're not doing pay-per-views, you can afford to pay people. Mm-hmm. Now, there's not pay-per-view revenue you're getting, but I don't know how much that affects like a wrestler, you know? Like, I don't think it matters to Kurt Angle that he's wrestling on, say, Genesis as opposed to just Impact Wrestling. Yeah. I wouldn't think it'd make any... I think
it'd be more of a storyline thing than...
Yeah, it'd be more storyline thing, but I don't think pay-wise, you know, like, it wouldn't matter. An appearance is an appearance.
Yeah, I doubt their guys are paid on like the scale of the WWE's, where it's the pay-per-view buy rates matter to all that, which now the network is fucked over. I mean, anyway, so it might not even be a thing anymore.
Which no one knows how it works, and the one person who asked how it works, well, that was a whole mess, so... But I would say that I would say that they'll pull through and they won't close, but there probably was a lot of how we're gonna make this work going on. I would say that the money issues isn't a looming like death threat, but it's a thing.
My thing I'm most interested in for Impact Wrestling, but going past these rumors, is if they're going to remain stationary and film, or if they're going to be just simply moving week to week.
I would stay stationary at least for a year.
That works if you have an audience. I mean, they had their the Impact Zone. I mean, they had a captive audience of people who were there all the time. Well, they had the fans who came all the time, who became complacent, and that's a whole different thing. Yeah. But they also had these people who were there on vacation. They could just pull in from the street, and here's some free wrestling show.
Yeah, but you said it, free wrestling show. Yeah. So they need to go. I don't think they need to go to Nashville now, because I think that's pretty much just a thing that Ring of Honor runs now. But they're going to try to do Manhattan Center, I think, or not. Manhattan Center.
Their first tapings are in New York.
In New York, yeah. So and New York's always been a big wrestling city, and if they stick to the smaller venues, I think they'll be okay. If they can stick to like Manhattan Center or like the Hammerstein Ballroom or something like that.
Well, see, I would almost say stay out of. I mean, yeah, you want New York City for like they're taping Lockdown there, yeah, and like that seems good because you want that audience of like raucous fans. But even at a smaller venue, the price of renting the place is going to be so high that you have to recover. I would think it would be better to travel and hit smaller venues in towns that don't normally get big wrestling.
It's true. I guess it depends on production costs and traveling. Yeah. If I ran it, would have wanted to move to London. I would, because that's their biggest talent base.
Yeah, they
not have, talent base, but fan base.
They have a huge fan base in England. Yes.
Or Canada. Yeah. They have a huge fan base in Canada too. That would have been ideal for me. I mean, I don't know how that would work with Destination.
Well, I think the problem with that would be uprooting the wrestlers and their families and taking them out of the country.
Well, that and then to the Destination America. Yeah. I don't think that would be something that would let happen.
Yeah. But, I mean, Destination America, we don't know how much of this contract. I mean, yeah, they're airing them, but, I mean, maybe they fit the bills for them to travel.
Or, yeah, especially if they take off and they want to be the best rated show on, which could happen. I mean, look at what happened with SmackDown on Sci-Fi. Mm-hmm. It's the best rated show on Sci-Fi.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about it like this: like Destination America pays for, like, say they just pay the fuel costs.
Fuel costs, yeah.
For like them to travel. Well, whenever they can travel, they go to all these cities in America, and while they're set up, well, they can have booths where they give away Destination America merchandise and like promotion stuff, and you know what I mean?
They could even do a reality show where they follow around like a ring dude who sits up the ring, or a camera guy or something. Yeah, I could see it.
You know, and it would show different facets of America by the fans that are coming to the show, you know? Like, it'd make perfect sense.
It would.
But there you go. There's just something for free, Destination America.
Yeah. I said it before, I think TNA or Impact Wrestling, I think they'll come out a lot better from this deal than what everybody's thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, Spike, if they'd stay with Spike, basically would have used them to promote Bellator, I feel like. That's what they were kind of doing at the time anyway.
And while Destination America isn't everybody doesn't have on their cable channel, you know what? Everybody doesn't have El Rey Network either, and Lucha Underground is taken off.
Yeah.
So,
and if TNA is able to do the other methods like Netflix and Hulu and you know the PlayStation View, if they're able to do that.
Yeah.
Then
that's where it lies, you know?
Yeah. It does.
So, there was all of that. That wasn't even part of this. So, there we go.
Yeah. What we do.
Took a little detour off Bad Street.
Hey,
but,
hey, we give a little extra. We leave the fans happy. we drove 1 million miles this weekend. So
yes, we cannot state it enough. The tiredness of us recording this podcast.
Yeah. Yep.
We'll probably actually all sleep through Raw tomorrow. So.
Well, I'll have to work through some of it, but yeah.
Well, it's your own business. Working's for suckers.
I'll probably sleep at work.
There you go. Now that's a plan.
But you're a pilot.
So for those, so what they average out this week? We even keep track of that. We didn't keep track of that. You know what?
It's too late for math.
Fuck it. Those rumors, mostly, probably, maybe, sort of true. We don't know. They're rumors. Fuck, the internet's full of them.
Actually, most of them were true this week.
Yeah. Probably because we had such a short list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you stay off Bad Street.
There's nothing good there.
Nothing good comes to Bad Street.
Syringes and venereal disease. And that's it for this week's Word on Bad Street.
The big finish.
And there you have it. That's our 13th episode in the can. We were surprisingly more serious this go around. It could be because we're really fucking tired. I don't know. Maybe we're getting old. Either way, I feel like it was a pretty good show. Hoagie disappeared during all of this. I don't even know where that fucker went.
He vanished.
He's gone.
He went to the same place Christian did a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Just disappeared into a briefcase. Next week we'll have another exclusive interview with a Ring of Honor star and a special surprise guest that makes it fairly fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But
it's fantastic.
it is fantastic. It pretty much made it was a great cap to the night that we had there. As usual, you can get a hold of us on Facebook and Twitter and freaksugar.com, and through we'll have some stuff on Freak Sugar's YouTube channel. We've got a Gmail. It's all going to be listed.
Telegraph.
You can send a homing pigeon.
Pony Express.
You can pay some homeless guy a couple of bucks to walk here.
Don't trust him, though.
Don't trust him. And you better make sure he doesn't have a shiv, because I swear to God, if I get shivved by another homeless guy bringing me a fucking envelope, I'm not doing the show anymore. And that's pretty much it. So, Developmental Talent episode 13, done and fucking done. I'm Lemon Juice McGee.
I'm Matt Pierce.
They call me Durbin.
And that's it. Now hear this pretty lady's voice.
Thanks for listening to Developmental Talent, but the show doesn't stop here. For more insane ramblings, be sure to check us out on social media. The links are conveniently listed in the text. Also, feel free to send your hatred, praise, and suggestions to developmentaltalentpodcast@gmail.com.